Greetings fellow captains and welcome back for the third and final part of my tier 6 ranked picked videos, where we are going to have a look at the battleships. You're probably sick of the sound of my docile tones now, so am I, so we'll try and make this one as quick as we can. So we're going to have a look at, covered the destroyers, we've covered the cruisers. If you haven't seen those videos, click on my name underneath and those videos will be there as well. I've split them up into 3 purely for the purposes of, if you don't care about cruisers and destroyers and only want to look at battleships, then this is the video for you. They're also worth checking out so you know the strengths and weaknesses of the ships that you're going to come up against. So first off, we're going to have a look at the USS Colorado and why I think this is a terrible choice for tier 6 ranked. Tier 5 ranked, I predominantly use the Arizona. Great ship, fantastic at tier 5, but at tier 6 the Colorado has a couple of serious weaknesses that we all should probably try and avoid, mainly being the fact that the Colorado is so slow. If you're out of position and you know, basically if you push left and the enemy team push right, it takes you too long to get over there. You're out of the fight for the majority of it, and by the time you get into the fight, you're going to be, well, not any help to your team because they're already going to be dead. That 18.9 knots speed is just so slow. It really does restrict what you can and cannot do in this ship. Although yes, we know it's got great guns, the accuracy is pretty good. It's just being so slow. That 406mm guns with their 18km range are just not going to be of a massive benefit to yourself or your team. Not knocking the ship, it's amazing, and in standard battles where you've got more ships around and you're not dependent on all the enemy team pushing one flank, it's fantastic. It's superb, one of my favourite tier 6s, but it's just not going to cut it in ranked for me. So we're going to look at the Nagato. Now the Nagato, great ship for ranked, 25.8 knots, or almost 26 knots. It's significantly faster, and it has one of the most, if not the most devastating broadside at tier 6 with its 410mm guns, 16.5km range. Yes, it's a bit squishy, so you do need to play this right. You need to angle yourself well, try and go bow onto ships that are shooting at you, and try and take out ships that aren't paying attention. If someone gives you their broadside, alright, you want to get the distance down a bit, sort of 12 kilometers I think is the ideal one. This ship will absolutely devastate anything, and you've got the speed to switch around the flanks. Now the King George, bear in mind my King George is stock. I only actually unlocked it this morning, so this has got some upgrades left to go onto it, which will make a big difference. But I've got the Monarch, which is King George, and I understand its strengths. So for a battleship, it's pretty hidden. 24 knots is a reasonable speed. There is an engine upgrade, so I'm assuming that speed probably be more like 25, 26, which gives it that maneuverability around the map that you want. Key points about the King George is they're extremely tanky. They've got the 14-inch guns, good range, ridiculous fire chance of 41%, which gives you that early burning down damage until they get close enough for you to warrant switching to armor piercing on this ship. I'm assuming the range is, well, obviously there's always a gun upgrade that extends the range, and a 24-second reload time, so its reload of its guns is pretty good as well, which does give you that advantage of being able to put out consistent damage. But the main thing about the King George is its ability to attract and sustain taking damage. You really need to use that to your advantage, and then use the 28-second heal, which basically allows you to reprint your ship. Agonised now, from the tech tree ship point of view, is definitely going to be one of the strongest ships. They're extremely tanky. It's the fastest tier 6 battleship at 32 knots, which is going to let you get around the map as quickly as most of the cruisers, or at least not lagging very far behind. You do have those 2 torpedo launchers, 3 torpedoes each side, with a 6-kilometer range, which is great, particularly if you get into those short range engagements later on towards the end of the battle, when you're pushing, you know, when you're pushing caps and only thing left is battleships. 18-kilometer range is really good, but you have to remember that the German dispersion is not the best. Yes, I've got a dispersion build, so my ship is better, but it's still not going to compete with the Americans or British on the accuracy side of things. You really do need to get in range, close down the enemy, and punish them. Within 10 kilometers is where the Agonised now really starts to shine. And anything lower than that, well, then you're getting into torpedo range, which is even better news for you, even worse news for the enemy. So yeah, one of the best, probably the best tech tree ship. This is probably actually going to be the tech tree ship, if I play tech tree ships, the one I'm going to pick, which is the French tier 6 Leon. Why do I keep on saying tier 6? We're talking about tier 6 and nothing else. Why the Leon? Well, okay, so it's pretty quick at 26 knots. It's fairly agile, although it's got a slow rudder shift time. But this is where it is. 16 130mm guns. Now, Scharnhorst is my favourite tier 6. The only ship I hate fighting against is the Leon, just because it's got so many guns, and although, yeah, okay, they're not going to citadel me, but every single one causes damage, and this thing racks up damage like no one's business. It hasn't got that one-hit punch like some of the other tier 6 battleships, but it does have that ability to constantly chip away, and with it being quite quick and quite maneuverable, it's very good at kiting away from the enemies and just chewing them down. Also 26% fire chance on the HE makes that a reasonably good option early on, but I like to stick with armor piercing and just whittle down the health. Obviously extremely effective against cruisers, probably more so just because of the fact that it has so many guns, and the lower caliber you're less likely to overpenetrate them as well. So a very strong choice for ranked. The Sinop, I'd like to say I have a love-hate relationship with this ship, but it's just hate. I don't like it. Alright, okay, it's reasonably quick at 25 knots, but it's only really effective under 10 kilometers, and if you come up against a Agonised now at 10 kilometers, you're going to be at a disadvantage, especially as they close in to use their torpedoes. And at range, both the British and the American and the Japanese are going to have your number as well. Yes, they can be quite tanky when used right, but getting in close range, and if you give too much broadside, they're essentially made out of citadels. I think there's a glass panel, a viewing port down either side of the ship that just lets the shells sink straight through. I'm sure there's some people out there that are having good luck and enjoying the Russian Sinop, but personally, I hate the ship, and I'm really struggling to find any reasons to grind up XP and get the Sovetski Soyuz when that becomes available for us in another 2 weeks. So that covers our tech tree ships. So time to have a glance at the premiums, and my favourite ship, and probably the one I'm going to pick for the following reasons, is the Scharnhorst. So okay, it's got reasonable concealment. It's the second fastest, I think, at 31 knots essentially. It's got the 6-kilometer torpedoes, exactly the same as the Agonised at 64 knots. But this is where the difference comes in, and this makes the ship so flexible. Yes, that's right. 20.5 kilometer firing range with the setup that I have. Reload time of 20 seconds. And these guns are just so versatile. Set fire at ranges when they get sub 10 kilometers, because the shell arc, firing arc is so flat, its penetration values are massive. So under 12 kilometers, you can start causing significant damage to other battleships whilst remaining quite tanky. The only thing you've got to watch out for is the Leons, because they will just tick you down over time and range. And if they keep themselves angled away, their AP is going to beat your HE, which is the only thing that's going to be effective. But this is definitely going to be the ship I pick. Essentially, if you really wanted to, you can stay out of range and outshoot absolutely everything on the field. Although that's not what you want to do, but it's effective to use to get your damage building and get them whittling down as you progress into that brawling space of sort of 12 to 6 kilometers, which is where the Scharnhorst really does shine. So it sounds like an advert for buying the Scharnhorst. Wargaming, give me an affiliate link. buy the Scharnhorst, the 10% discount thanks to the high found. That'll never happen. But right, okay, so that is the Scharnhorst. The Nelson, the tier 6. Why do I keep on saying the tier 6? The British battleship. This is going to be quite a strong contender as well, because, well, 24 knots, so it's not the slowest, it's not the fastest, but the 9 406mm guns with their 16 kilometer range, 46% fire chance. Although the armor piercing, it's the same problem with all the British armor piercing. It sucks unless it's close range. I think you've got to be within 8 kilometers for the armor piercing to really start working. But when it does, boy does it work. Key things to know about the Nelson is its armor, if angled good, is great. If you give the broadside, you're just asking for citadels. But it does have its secret weapon, which is, yes, 1,330 hit points over 20 seconds. Yes, that's 26,000 hit points this ship can recover 3 times. So you can essentially print yourself another ship and a half, which does give the Nelson a huge advantage. So you can be particularly aggressive early on, take a bit of time to sit back mid-game to heal up and get yourself repaired, get your new ship, and then move forward and finish the enemies off. Which brings us on to the mighty Hood, 28 knots, so the third fastest ship after the two German battle cruisers. We have 17.5 kilometer range with a 24-second reload time. Or is it 25-second reload time? It has a good high explosive chance of fire at 34%, which is great at range. Armor piercing with its 15-inch guns is surprisingly effective compared to the other British battleships. It's kind of like the Warspite in that respect. It is one of the few that has good armor piercing. Surprisingly tanky. Obviously, it's a big ship. Don't go broadside. You're a massive target. You're going to eat huge damage. But you can keep all your guns firing whilst giving quite a steep angle, and that really is one of the benefits of the ship. It's really tanky. It's quite quick, and if you kite away or even to your enemies, you can cause significant damage. It also has hydroacoustic search, which is obviously a massive benefit, particularly in late game if there's still destroyers around. So my picks would be for the tech tree. They're going to be the Leon, the Nagato, and the Agonised. Those are definitely the top 3 there. If we're going into the premium space, Scharnhorst is number 1. It's just so flexible. It has advantages over pretty much every single other ship. The Nelson, and yeah, we'd probably say the Hood. So overall picks, Scharnhorst is going to be number 1, Leon number 2, and then the Nagato coming in at 3. So I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Hope you found it interesting and informative. Good luck out there in tier 6, and until next time, take care.